Hello, everyone. Today we have a movie called The Bubble. It's about the cinema industry during the pandemic. And
No. That isn't Bubble about a movie about parkour?
wait, what?
I mean, which one are we reviewing exactly?
I guess we're going to find out.
Hey guys, this is the Geek Dhaba, and today we're just a confused bunch here because it so happens that we watched the same movie but two different plot lines of that movie, I guess, because it has the same name, The Bubble and Bubble. One is live action, one is animated. I mean, it's comical, right? Like I texted you about it just last week.
Both of them on Netflix.
Both
So,
of
how
them
am I
on
supposed
Netflix.
to know which one you were talking about?
Yeah, no, that's true. I should have gone like, no, Bubble 2022 film
That's the
animated
same. That's the same
by
thing, yo. That's the same thing. Both of them are 2022.
animated
Both of them
and
released in the
live
same
action.
month.
Our question is Netflix, why do you have to burst our bubble like that?
Hey, yo.
We're gonna start off with the animated Bubble review. This is a movie about a sort of a post-apocalyptic, I would say semi-post-apocalyptic Earth where a lot of bubbles had shown up out of nowhere, and Tokyo was engulfed, I guess. And apparently, the rest of the world was spared from this bubbly fate, and apparently, it was only Tokyo that was the center of the problem. Um, Although we never sort of get to know exactly why it was the center of the problem again. I mean,
Mm.
why is it that everything produced in the United States is always like, oh yeah, aliens invading America? Now it's the same case with Japan. We never get to know. But overall, this movie has also been directed by the same person who has done Attack on Titan. So you kind of see some of the visual elements being a lot similar. What did you think about the movie, Mubarak?
Visually, as you said, it was stunning. It is visually very, very nice. It is very crisp animation, and the voice acting, both in Japanese and in English, are solid. I switched between somewhere halfway through, and I think the voice acting, both sides were good. It was a good movie visually. The plot, however, I have no idea what was going on. Like the bubble inside my head just burst. I am like,
We
what?
we should have like a bubble counter, bubble pun counter or something over here because the amount of bubble puns we are making. But yeah, no, you're right. In that sense,
They're
like
gonna blow us away though.
eh, although no, you're right in that sense. Like although this movie was quite heartfelt and it sort of borrowed some of the influence from Hans Christian Andersen's The Little Mermaid, it seemed to reference that a lot of times. But again, it I feel like it was kind of directed more towards the feels aspect of things rather than going towards the narrative clarity. Like this
Hmm.
girl who was a bubble before gets to experience humanity and gets to sort of enjoy being in love with this person, but of course it comes with a cost. Like every time she touches this person, she sort of loses part of herself, which is kind of an interesting allegory to our real life situations where you know we tend to lose parts of ourselves to the person we love, but it's willingly. So I mean, I guess it works. But yeah, you're right in the sense of the narrative clarity. Like we never get the answer as to where these bubbles came from, why Tokyo, and also like what happens next, because these bubbles are still there by the end of this movie,
Yeah.
and they're shown preventing war. And also although you can go for the symbolic aspects of things, but at the same
Hmm.
time you're like, yeah, I would have liked a bit more clarity on that.
It feels like there was something missing. Like how usually you have manga turned into movies. Well, this one they did the movie first, and then they did an adaptation in manga form.
Oh,
So
okay.
if it feels like there's something missing, there's some crucial backstory there was that they didn't show show or something like that. That's the feeling that I had this entire time.
True.
Like towards the end, they try to explain it, but then it's so everything is happening. It's all chaotic at that moment. So you just like you can't absorb anything at that point.
True. I mean, if we were given some sort of an explanation, like, these bubbles were just like drifting in space, they didn't have any concept of color, taste, or any of the things that we as humanity we experience them. But it's kind of like, okay, so this one particular bubble, I don't know if by some coincidence had encountered humanity before and sort of drove them to Earth and was like, okay, I want to experience that. And it so happens that they landed in Tokyo first. And while the rest of the world just sort of watched this huge bubble come up, and Tokyo, one of the biggest metropolis in the world right now, get engulfed and not do anything about it. But instead, we have kids parkouring inside a restricted zone. This is kind of like if you were playing cricket in Chernobyl. So I don't know. What did you think about the parkour aspect of it?
The parkour aspect was actually fantastic. That's what hooked me into this. The parkour aspect. I'm like, okay, it's a post-apocalyptic. There's parkour. It's exciting. There's going to be some action, all that. But then, like when they took that turn into the Little Mermaid, which that she even says that I'm your little mermaid, blah blah blah, you're my prince. It like from that moment on, it just got confusing. Like I really would have liked to see more. Like I mean, we had a good amount of parkour and fantastic parkour. Like the first few parkour matches that happened in this, they were really really well done. And then she comes in, it kind of derails that. And
it's kind of like, but overall, it doesn't like. It's not exactly a jarring kind of thing that just takes you out of the narrative, but you're just like confused for a minute, like, okay, what's happening there? Like, I mean, there are scientists aboard, so we were hoping those characters to come up with some sort of explanation, like why is it that whenever she's been touching everybody else, like in the ship, but whenever she touches this kid, she sort of bubbleifies and loses part of herself. So why exactly is this happening with only this kid? So
yeah, that was weird.
Those probably, I haven't read the manga yet, but probably if they expanded upon it in the manga, so probably I'll catch that. But that's the thing. If you have to explain something like outside of the movie, then probably narrative wise, you didn't clear that up as much. I mean, it's one thing to expand more upon it. It's the other to sort of try to explain it in the outer world, like in the meta world, if you think about it. So yeah, but I think overall this movie was a very good experience. So what would you rate this movie as?
I like 6.9. I can't give it a 7. It was a nice movie visually,
6.9.
and the parkour was good, but 6.9, like I cannot give it a 7. I cannot. So
6.9.
just 0.1 less than 7. If you want to round it off to 7, let's go on.
I thought you were making the obvious joke. 6.9.
No, but speaking of obvious jokes,
yeah,
what was up with that Naruto character? Straight up ripoff. Like I don't watch Naruto, but I'm like, that's Naruto right there. He's running around. He's even doing the ninja run. I'm like, bruh, what is that?
You could read between the lines and go like, yeah, probably that's an homage. Probably the guy just loves Naruto. So I don't know. It felt like a good Easter egg to just like look around. But I was like, okay, it is what it is. But yeah, my rating would be like an 8 out of 10 because personally I just enjoyed it because of the whole parkour and the visual aspect of things. Like, if you watch it like, with full bright settings and all of that, it's a visual treat for anybody. Like there's a lot of heart in there. But yeah, narrative wise, of course, it just leaves a little bit more to be desired. So yeah. But speaking of a little more to be desired, let's just come to the live action. You want to take that one?
The Bubble.
The Bubble.
Which is, it's a meta commentary on the cinematic industry during the pandemic, which has been hard on us. Let's not, mince words here. It's been a really tough pandemic. The economy has still not recovered. People have still not recovered. What is our life now? No one knows. But these guys, okay, so I guess they wanted to make it like a documentary of sorts. I don't know. Have you seen Tropic Thunder?
Yeah. Yeah,
So
yeah,
you
yeah.
know how they start off making a movie, but in the
True.
end they convert it into a documentary.
That's
I
very
feel
true.
like it took a lot from Tropic Thunder.
Now you mentioned that, like now that I'm comparing Tropic Thunder with what I saw, I'm
Mhm.
just like, okay, it's a bit too close to the point where I might call it a ripoff, if I say so myself.
Yeah, like the premise is the same. Of course, the setting is different, and now you have the pandemic, which is the major driving factor. But it feels a lot like that.
Yeah,
And mm,
and furthermore, like it kind of gives off that cliched feel of a trying to be too hard comedy movie. Like it feels like like before the review, like I was telling you, it feels like a very confused jumble up amalgamation of high school musicals, teen romance drama, take some of the
mhm,
Bollywood aspects of I don't know, Kabhi Khushi Kabhi Gham, and then you have some like World War Z kind of situation with the pandemic. Like they were trying so hard to make this pandemic
mhm,
look like it was deadly or something, but they were constantly sort of failing at portraying that. Like I get the quarantine bit where after that there was a welcome party. I got that bit, but aside from that, there was nothing in this movie that could make me connect to it, like emotionally, or even like in terms of their comedy. Like um in terms of like the jokes that were there, they were just falling flat on their faces. Like, at the start they were good, but
they
then
were
they
good
just
in
got
the start. They were
repetitive.
good, yeah. But
Repetitive.
then exactly,
Yeah.
and it's like they try to be so meta in the beginning. Like eventually, you're just like, and then like when they just devolved into dryness, it just became dry, and then you're just like, bro, what's going on here? And then the ending, and you're just like, bro. And then the part where they just try to turn it into a documentary, and then they rip off Tropic Thunder entirely, and I'm just like, bro, what is this?
Exactly. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of fans do comment that. And I did go to IMDb and all of those just to see the reviews, and I wasn't surprised that a lot of people were like having similar thoughts as me. Like this
Mhm.
movie was trying way too hard to be comedic
Yeah,
and sort of
and
failing
meta.
at that. And meta, yeah. It's kind of like walking that fine line between comedy and woke. So you have that particular meta line per se.
Mm.
And also, what was with the whole thing where they just want to sort of throw out honest, harsh truths, but they were failing at that. Like for example, that one instance where I'm forgetting the girl's name, but who falls in love with the football jock, and then he reveals like, oh yeah, I'm married, and I was like, okay, cool, guy has integrity. But then he goes like, oh yeah, I have several girlfriends and mistresses, and I'm just like, oh, there it is, of course.
It's like they tried so hard to be a parody of something of real life. It just doesn't work. Like it's not working as intended. Like I'm
True.
pretty sure they intended for something, but the end result is something else.
True. And what's more is like, with somebody like Keegan Michael in the cast, you have a
Mhm.
stellar cast, by the way. Keegan Michael, Karen Gillan, like you have some really, really good names in there. But it's just that it's kind of like they tried too hard to be don't look up, like
Mhm.
where you have Meryl
Yeah,
Streep, you have Jonah Hill, and all of that. But then again, at least Don't Look Up had some really good plot line to it as well.
all
So
right.
yeah, I mean,
So yeah, but then here's the thing. Despite having good cast, they also had two solid comedians, Guz
Gus
Ahmed, I
Gus
think,
Khan,
yeah,
Gus Khan.
Guz Khan, and Keegan Michael Key. They were two solid comedians. Why are they not allowed to write the jokes for the
Exactly,
rest of the cast? Like,
exactly. Thank you. The jokes that they were making didn't feel like them, and
didn't feel like them.
I'm somebody who has watched Gus Khan a lot. Like Gus Khan is, if you allow him to make jokes, he will have you
Yeah.
on the floor. And Keegan Michael, of course. I mean,
I've
he's a
watched Key
big
and
name.
Peele. Watched Matt TV. I can say a lot for their comedy. Keegan Michael Key's comedy is top notch.
Yeah,
I feel like they didn't deliver. Both of them did not deliver as advertised.
exactly.
Like
So
at this
what?
point, it just felt like a diversity hire.
Oh,
I mean,
that's a burn.
is that not the
That's a,
harsh truth of Hollywood?
yeah,
They're just like, just put them in somewhere.
just put them in somewhere. But like, yeah,
Yeah.
we got the token black guy, we got the white kids, we got the TikToker. Of
Yeah.
course, have to get them, and then
We get
we got the
the
Muslim representation,
Hispanic.
the
We got the
Hispanic.
Hispanic who has no proper accent. Okay, so that made me laugh because every scene his accent is different. There were moments in this movie that were funny.
Yeah,
Not
but
gonna
that
lie,
was it. That was it. Like there
but
was,
that was
it was
it.
just like that
Exactly,
one
just
time.
moments,
Yeah,
moments.
it's kind of like finding like a good chunk of meat in a really bad dish. You just enjoy that chunk of meat, but then you're just like, okay, the rest of
Yeah.
the dish is just terrible.
Hmm.
So, what would you
Yeah.
rate this movie as?
If I would, 5.5, 6, somewhere there. Like I
Uh,
don't want to be harsh. I understand that this was pandemic, like they're trying to be meta, like you try to sympathize with them, right? Like it's about the pandemic and how everything that we've been watching and reviewing lately has not been up to par. But bro, how can I do this? Like if this was
like,
better, I'd sympathize with it.
yeah, no, that's true. Like the bubble that was created with bubble animation, it really bursts in the live action one. Like you're like, okay, if bubble animated was this good, probably the bubble might be really good because it has a D at the start. So probably, I don't know, maybe it's something bigger.
Mhm.
But sadly, it doesn't blow our bubble all too much. Yeah.
Sadly.
But yeah, so my rating would for it would be like a 4 out of 10. I mean, it's not that it's
Fair.
not
Fair.
like I like people have been rating it as a 1 out of 10. They probably haven't seen The Last Airbender. That's a 1 out of 10.
Oh,
So, but yeah, 4 out of 10 is like just the best I can give this
fair enough.
because, I mean, Goose Khan, I'm personally a fan of Keegan Michael
Mm.
Key. I'm a fan of these actors, and they were doing the best that they could with the writing that was given to them. So it's
Yeah.
not them I blame. I blame the direction and the writing. Terrible.
The writing especially, because
Yeah.
even the direction was decent. Like, everyone's doing that meta role that they're assigned to. You got big names on this. Everyone's doing a fantastic job. The acting was actually good. Each,
The
like,
acting was good.
individually, the acting is good. Like, but then when you put them all together and like your finished product is not.
It just doesn't look good. It just doesn't
It
look
doesn't
good.
look good. Yeah.
So yeah, but that's our review for the two bubbles. One of them blew up, and one of them really bursted. So I don't know. I'm out of bubble puns anyway. So we're gonna be out of here as well. So subscribe, comment, like. It helps us a lot. And until then, we'll see you in another review. Take care. Bye.
Bye.